So this week I'd like to start a new saga of videos on my channel talking about something very near and dear to me. It is Pokemon. I'd like to share my journey, my relationship between me and Pokemon. So for me, Pokemon has always been there. I think it was literally invented before I was born, so I've always been immersed in it. The earliest I can remember of knowing about Pokemon was just watching like the episodes on TV Saturday mornings on Cartoon Network, I think, but that's a little blurry. One of my earlier memories is I had a friend who was insane about Pokemon. He had like a bunch of Pokemon games, and this was like around the time of like I think when like Ruby and Sapphire, those core games came into existence, and he just had a whole bunch of Pokemon action figures and toys and the game, and he'd always talk about it, and everything he brought to preschool was Pokemon related, and I just thought it was super cool, but I really didn't have any other connection to it at the moment at that time besides that. Now, when I talk about Pokemon on my channel, it's 99% of the time going to be talking about the core games on the handheld Nintendo systems, like like the DS and the Game Boy and whatnot. I might talk a little bit about like the Pokemon movies because I do also enjoy those movies, and end up talking a little bit about the Pokemon show, which I have not nearly seen that much of the Pokemon show. I've obviously seen like the original couple seasons, but not anything too recent or like in the middle or anything, because there's like a billion fucking episodes. It's just way too much to watch, and it's really corny most of the time. But otherwise, I probably won't talk about anything that's not a core game unless I'm talking about something I'm frustrated about that I wish was a core game. I've never played like any of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games or the games where you walk around as the Pokemon as Pokemon talk. I always thought that was super goofy and childish as compared to the core games. I'm not going to get super into that, but I have played a couple of the Pokemon Ranger games that I did thought were pretty good. But besides that, one Christmas before I was probably like 7 or something at the time, I can't totally remember. We got a GameCube for Christmas, and I think I can't remember what we had on the GameCube. I know we rented Smash Bros. Melee like a billion times before actually buying it, so I played a lot of Smash Bros. Melee on that. And then Metroid. My dad got like both Metroid Prime 1 and Prime 2, and he loved Metroid before we even got a GameCube. He loved the NES Metroid games or the Nintendo 64 Metroid games, and then we got a GameCube, and he just played those. He played those Metroid games all day long, because it took him forever to beat them. It wasn't until I realized that my friend from preschool had a Game Boy Nintendo device. It was a specific device. This is before I knew too much about video games at all. That he had something called a Game Boy, and that's what he had that one Pokemon game on. That was like the Pokemon game, the Pokemon core game. Yeah, I think he was playing like Sapphire Ruby or something. I didn't know too much about it, but I knew that kind of existed. But I thought there were like other versions of the game out there or something. So around the time that we got a GameCube, I was like telling my parents that I really wanted to get into Pokemon and start playing Pokemon games and whatnot. And I didn't have like a Game Boy or anything myself. We just had like the family GameCube that we played Smash Bros. On. Me and my brother and like the friends around the neighborhood, which was a really great time. But I really wanted to play Pokemon at the time because everyone in school was talking about it all the time, and my friend was always telling me about it, and I just really wanted to get into it. So the first thing I got was not a Game Boy. It was a device slightly somewhat similar, not really a Game Boy, not really a core system. I doubt anyone actually knows nowadays what it was, but it was this little like it was a handheld system with like, I don't know, 10 buttons tops on it. You know, like off, on, A, B, and then like you move around a little bit on it. Like, I don't know, probably less than 10 buttons on it. But it was specific for Pokemon, and it was this really weird Pokemon game where you'd put like a little figure Pokemon attach this metal piece, and you put like a gym leader opponent on the other piece, and you'd fight them by doing like a set of moves, and every Pokemon had like the same move. The only difference was like the type of the Pokemon that made it more effective. And there were only like a certain set amount of like little Pokemon figures. You get like a Charizard, a Dragonite, obviously a Pikachu, a Raichu, a Pichu, a Suicune. I remember I had a Suicune, but I think that was pretty much it. And I remember realizing at one point that if I just put a fucking like marble magnet on there, it counted as a Pikachu. And you know, I like beat the game on it. I got to like the max level all my Pokemon could get onto it, and then I was like done with it. It wasn't very expansive of a game. It was like a little handheld toy, you know. You probably find it on eBay for like $10 now or something. But I quickly realized that handheld game was obsolete as compared to like the GameCube or a Game Boy. But we already had a GameCube at the time, so I was like, I want to go get a Pokemon game. So me and my parents like went to a video game store, and we thought we found a Pokemon game. So we bought it, and it was a Game Boy cartridge. Now here's the thing, it was a Game Boy cartridge with like a picture of Pokemon on it, and it said Pokemon on it. And we went home and we realized that it's not really compatible with the GameCube, which I quickly realized when I got it home, and I was super upset like the whole time because I just really wanted to play Pokemon so badly. And so we found out that there was an adapter for the GameCube that could take Game Boy cartridges. So we ran back to the game store, got that adaptation, brought it back home, attached it to the GameCube, put the game chip into the GameCube, and it didn't work. It wasn't compatible with the Game Boy adaptation on the GameCube. I could only use it on a Game Boy. And I was super sad for like months after that. I was like almost heartbroken, and my parents like didn't want to buy me a Game Boy because it was like $70 at the time, and it just took some actual convincing to get me a Game Boy. And we weren't like super poor or anything. We were like, just, average middle class. So I don't know. I don't know what position we were in that point, but we weren't poor. So it wasn't like, I had to kind of convince them over a couple months to get me a Game Boy. And eventually I finally got a Game Boy. I went with them to the store to get my Game Boy for $70 or $80 or something, and took it home, and I had to charge it. And I was like, dang it, I have to charge it. I have to wait like another hour to finally get this thing that I've been craving for so long. And at this time I was thinking, I will put this chip in and play Pokemon, the chip that I tried to work on the GameCube but didn't work. So I plugged my Game Boy in and it had to charge, and I remember sitting there in a recliner or something doing like my math homework in elementary school. And I was sitting there doing my math homework, and I kept on looking over to see if the light was still on the Game Boy to see if it was done charging it. And I looked back probably a billion times in that hour just waiting for it to get done charging because I was so excited to play. And finally I finished my homework and I went to play it. I put the chip in, and I found out that the chip I had gotten months ago was an episode of Pokemon. Not any of the actual Pokemon core games, or even a Mystery Dungeon, or even the pinball Pokemon game. It was an episode of Pokemon. And I was so confused and frustrated and mad, and I was probably crying, and my face was red, and I was frustrated because I just really wanted to play it, but I couldn't figure it out because I was a dumb little kid. So I ended up sitting there watching like the whole episode like 10 times, trying to figure out if there was a way I could play it, and there wasn't. And I was really upset for like another month before I found out that I needed to buy a specific Pokemon game. So eventually, parents went back to the game store, and I got Pokemon Emerald. That was my first Pokemon game, was Pokemon Emerald. I didn't get Ruby or Sapphire because at the time Emerald had just came out. So we went ahead and got Emerald. And from there, my adventure flourished when I got Emerald. It took me about 2 years, from the age of like 7 to 9. I played Emerald on that Game Boy. And that's all I did, like, all the time. I stopped going outside. And I got really pale. And that was my life. Not like 100%, but I played it a lot. And I didn't have a guide or anything. I literally just kind of trialed and errored throughout the game forever until I beat it. And I eventually remember walking around in my living room with my family just staring at me because I was a weirdo. And I was like, yo, check this out. And I'd like lean over and show my mom, and then lean over and show my little brother me going through like the Elite Four. And I was like, I was going through the Elite Four, and it was such a great childhood memory because I had no guide. I had nothing to, I didn't know what to expect at all. You know, my Pokemon were like almost dead. I just finished beating Drake. I finally beat Drake of the Elite Four and Emerald, and I was so excited. And then I found out that there was a fifth battle. I had to battle Wallace, the champion. I was like, holy shit! I wasn't prepared for another battle, and I struggled. I probably saved and tried to fight Wallace that one save, do that one go through the Elite Four probably a billion times, until I finally beat him, and I was so happy and I was so excited. And then I didn't really know what to do with myself at that point. Also, just a side note, between like preschool and like by the age of like 13, I collected a buttload of Pokemon cards. I have so many Pokemon cards sitting in my room somewhere right now. I never learned how to play the Pokemon card game because the one time someone tried to explain it to me, it got a super bad headache and I got frustrated. I couldn't figure it out. Turns out that those energy cards, you actually needed those bitches. I threw away energy cards because I thought they were so annoying because I never thought they were cool. It's just like, oh, energy. It has a symbol on it. I have like a billion of these. And I just threw it out because I was stupid and I didn't know you actually needed them to play the game, but obviously you did. And so I just have a ton of like really rare foil, awesome looking Pokemon cards somewhere that I do nothing with. And I should probably sell them eventually because I'd probably make a hefty amount because I collected them for a long, long time and I bought a lot of Pokemon cards. But getting back on track, I finished Emerald, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I'll always, the Hoenn region will always have a special place in my heart because Emerald was my first Pokemon game. So after Emerald, I got Fire Red, and I don't even remember, I think I might have gotten Fire Red before I beat Emerald, but the thing was that Fire Red and Leaf Green were like so foreign to me because, you know, those games in my opinion are harder than Emerald and Ruby and Sapphire. I don't know why, but when I got it, the going through the story mode of that is a lot more complicated than Emerald. I felt like Emerald was really just Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire was kind of just a walk in the park. You know, you just went through stuff. You didn't really have to do anything super complicated to get through of it. But in Fire Red and Leaf Green, there's like a series of steps you need to go through in a certain order sometimes to do exactly what you want to do in the game. And I think my young mind just couldn't figure it out or think to buy a guide, and I never really got through it. I, of course, can get through it now. I played through it 100 times at this point, but when I was younger, I just couldn't figure it out, so I kind of bypassed it. And then at one point, I got the original, well, not like red or blue, but I got silver. In the silver and gold gen, I got the extra big Game Boy cartridge silver with Lugia on it. And from the Pokemon movie 2000, I always thought Lugia was like the coolest Pokemon. That was my favorite Pokemon. And when I couldn't get him, I figured I couldn't get him in like Emerald or like Fire Red. I was like, or maybe you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. It has to be in the Johto region. Yeah. But when I realized I couldn't, I wasn't really that upset about it. But when I got silver, I knew that Lugia was on the front of it, so I was super excited. I was like, okay, cool, I can catch Lugia. Or I wasn't that excited about it, because the second I put the game in, I realized that, ooh, this is a way older game. This does not look anything like Emerald or Fire Red. This is really pixelated and like black and white, and does not look nearly as good as the other games. There's a huge gap here of development. And the thing is, with this specific chip that I bought, it could not save. It had a broken save feature, so I could not save the game. And it took me so long to realize this. I didn't really care that much because it was so hard to play for more than 20 minutes at a time because the graphics were so bad. But I'd put it in, I'd play it for like 45 minutes, I'd save it, I'd turn it off, I'd come back to it like a week later, I'd be like, oh, what the heck? I have to start all over again? That doesn't make any sense. So that ended pretty quickly. The save didn't work, so I couldn't really get anywhere on it. And then, I went back and messed around with Emerald for a really long time. I did just about everything you can do in Pokemon Emerald, besides like any like event things, because I didn't want to travel anywhere to do that. And so after a while, the Nintendo DS came out, or I know there's different versions of it, but like the DS Lite, like the really rectangular white one that isn't like raised up on the top of it. It's completely flat on the top. And that came out, so I got that eventually, a couple months after it came out. And then Diamond and Pearl came out, and it got even better. It just got better from there. And me and my brother both got I got Diamond and he got Pearl. And my brother was never super into Pokemon. He got a Game Boy and he got Pokemon Sapphire, but he only played it like a handful of times. He was still playing with toys at the time. He's like 2.5 years younger than me. But anyway, I got Pokemon Diamond and I played the hell out of that. And soon after that, Platinum came out, and I was like, oh, even better. And then I played the hell out of that. And then Darkness fell, and the Action Replay came out. And I was like, oh, cool. I can get more stuff on the Action Replay with ease. And I got the Action Replay and like the Action Replay disc, and I put a bunch of codes on it, and I screwed up my game a bunch. And I wasn't super upset about it at first, but I did screw up my game a bunch, and I did something where like I could get like a bunch of level 100 Pokemon and like any Pokemon I wanted. And it's cool for that kind of thing is always cool for a little bit, but then like it quickly just defeats the purpose of the entire game, And so me and my brother both did that for a while. And at this point he was kind of into it, and we were both kind of using the Action Replay, and then that quickly died out. So after that, I think So after that was Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I did get Soul Silver. My brother got Heart Gold. He again didn't play too much of it. I played the hell out of Soul Silver. I thought it was a very fun, entertaining game. A really good remake of Kanto and Johto. Pretty much a remake of both of them. More so Johto, I think. So I played a lot of that, and I ended up trading some of my Pokemon over from Diamond and Pearl or Platinum over to there, and it was fun for a little while. But after I beat the Elite Four, I didn't really do much of that afterward. And then after that, what would happen is Pokemon Black and White came out, and I think I can't remember White or Black, and my brother got the other one. Now this is the point in which me and my brother switched off. My brother started playing a lot more Pokemon, and what happened was I got the game, and immediately I was thinking you only get one starter at the start, and I was like, telling my brother, hold on, give me both games. I'm gonna start the game over and over and over again and trade them off so that we can both get all 3 starters when we play the game. And it took me like a month to do this because I was still a child at the time. It took me a month to do this. My brother was getting really upset because he really wanted to play the game, and I eventually gave it to him, and we both had all 3 starters: Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott, I think. Not my favorite starters, but oh well. I got all 3 of them. We started playing the game, and for some reason I struggled through this game, and I kind of ended like after like the 6th gym leader. I just got bored with it, and I was like getting into my teenage years, and I was going and hanging out with friends more. So about the middle of Black and White, I kind of stopped and took a really long break from Pokemon. And what happens is X and Y came out, and X and Y, for some reason, when I saw the starters of X and Y, I was kind of like, what the heck? That's stupid. I always looked at Greninja. Back then, I looked at Greninja, and I thought, why does this starter look like an origami? Like, I thought it was super weird how the Pokemon was, like, thin, but then had, like, circular pieces all over it and whatnot. I kind of just glanced at it every now and then. I was kind of sickened by it. And I just thought the starters and the starter final forms looked kind of silly. And then Mega Evolution came out at the same time of that. And when Mega Evolution first came out, I was not super big on it. I was like, oh, that's kooky. That's kind of weird. That changes stuff. I don't like change. I want my core games to be the same. So I didn't even get X or Y. And then like a year after that, or 2 years after that, they made a remake of my favorite region, Hoenn. Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire came out, and when I heard about that, I was like, oh, I'm getting on that. I'm definitely getting that. No way I'm missing out on that. So Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out. Me and my brother both got a copy. I got Alpha Sapphire. I can't remember why. I guess at the time I was thinking Kyogre was cooler than Groudon for some reason. And then my brother got Omega Ruby. And we both played a ton of that. And that was really fun. I did just about everything you can do in that. And was hands down my favorite game for a while, and might be my favorite game now. I don't know. I'll make a separate video about that. But yeah, I really liked Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and I played a ton of it. And then like 2 years after that, they announced Sun and Moon. And when I first heard about Sun and Moon, I was like, okay. And then it came out, and I played it. I remember everyone saying like it was the best Pokemon game of all time. And I was like, no. Sun and Moon is definitely not the greatest. I wouldn't even put it in the higher tier of good Pokemon core games. You know, it wasn't that bad, nearly as bad now that I go back thinking about it. It wasn't nearly as bad. It just was so offset from like the rest of the core games that I didn't really like it. I didn't really, them changing up gym battles. The Totem Pokemon battles were fun. I probably still would rather just gym battles as opposed to that. But yeah, I got Sun and Moon. Again, skipping over X and Y, I never got that. And then so I played through Pokemon Sun. And then I think there was like was there a 1 year or 2 year break after that? I can't remember. But between that break, I played through Sun and I beat it. And then I went back and I looked at X and Y and I thought, you know what? I'm going to get that. So I went and I got Pokemon X and I played through X and realized that I actually really enjoy Pokemon X and Y. It's got a lot of corny dialogue, bits and pieces that kind of drag it throughout, but it's one of my favorite games to just run through. I put together a team on Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I trade them over to X and I run through the game real quick and I catch a Mewtwo and one of the birds and whatnot and a Zygarde. But yeah, so in the end I did get Pokemon X and I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And then Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out and I got Ultra Moon, my brother got Ultra Sun, and we played through that, and I don't think we're up to current time right now, and I don't think I've quite done everything you can do on it. I think I'm like right before the Elite Four right now. I don't know, I took a huge break because life's just getting super busy and I don't have as much time to play as many video games, and I'm bogged down by other video games and whatnot. Just life gets busy, man. So I wanted to make this video before I start trashing other things about Pokemon and glorifying other things about Pokemon and spreading my opinions about the game, because it is really something that's very near and dear to my heart. It's probably one of my top 5 favorite things in existence, which probably sounds super lame, but I'm just in that generation of kids who really love video games and get a lot of pleasure out of it. But yeah, hopefully I'll be making more videos about Pokemon and whatnot, and posting more Pokemon videos and whatnot. So, yep, that's all for now. Thanks for listening.